The midday sun burned fiercely over the crowded marketplace, and the smell of hot metal and engine oil filled the air around a tiny roadside workshop where a young mechanic named Rafi Qureshi wiped sweat from his forehead with a torn cloth. His hands were rough, stained from years of hard labor, and his clothes held stories of struggle stitched into every thread. Customers who passed by rarely remembered his face, but they always remembered his humility, his soft smile, and the warmth in his eyes. Yet on this particular afternoon, life was preparing something unexpected, something that would shake his world from the dust of the workshop to the polished floors of a corporate empire. And it all began when a group of wealthy boys from the nearby business institute decided to make him the target of a cruel prank. If you believe kindness deserves a second chance, like, comment, share, and subscribe to RW Insights to support more meaningful stories like this. Rafi had always been quiet, a man who carried his dreams silently like delicate glass, afraid the world might shatter them. His mother had passed away 2 years ago, leaving him alone with debts and the old workshop. He worked every day, from sunrise until the streets emptied, to keep himself afloat. The wealthy boys who often brought sports cars for modification saw him as an easy target, someone they could laugh at without resistance. That afternoon, when one of them joked about setting him up on a blind date with a high-class girl, the others laughed loudly, imagining the mechanic's awkwardness. They titled it a social experiment, but in truth, it was nothing more than entertainment for them. And Rafi, unaware of their motives, agreed with a shy nod, thinking maybe fate was giving him a little happiness after years of hardship. The prank planners didn't expect that the girl they chose, Arisha Hayat, the CEO's only daughter, would even show up. She was known in their circle for her empathy and independence, refusing to bend to anyone's expectations. She had recently returned from abroad, carrying a soft sadness behind her confident smile. She felt isolated in a world where people approached her for her name, wealth, or reputation, never for her heart. So when her friends mentioned a blind date with a mystery guy, she accepted out of curiosity, unaware of the game being played beneath the surface. The cafe chosen for the meeting sat under the bright daylight, its wide windows bathing the room in a warm glow. Rafi arrived early, his heart drumming with nervous excitement. He wore his cleanest shirt, still faded, but ironed with care, and had borrowed a small amount from a neighbor just to take a rickshaw. When he stepped inside, he felt out of place instantly. Marble floors, soft music, polished tables, everything felt foreign, almost intimidating. Yet he sat quietly, waiting with hope lighting his eyes. Arisha entered moments later, her presence delicate yet confident, her steps calm, her hair catching light like a soft halo. She scanned the room and stopped the moment she saw him, his posture stiff, his hands neatly folded, his eyes lowering the moment she looked at him. She knew instantly he wasn't the type her friends normally associated with. When she sat across from him, she smiled gently, and Rafi felt something shift inside him, like the world had just paused to breathe. The date began awkwardly. He spoke softly, worried about saying the wrong thing. She asked simple questions, hoping to ease him. And slowly, piece by piece, the walls around him began to fall. He told her about his workshop, his mother, and his dream of opening a bigger garage someday. She listened intently, surprised by the sincerity of his words. There was no arrogance, no pretension, no hidden agenda, just honesty and heart. She found herself smiling, not out of politeness but genuine admiration. But outside the cafe's window, the pranksters gathered, filming, laughing quietly, waiting for the fun to begin. When they finally walked inside, sneering and mocking Rafi openly, the illusion shattered. They revealed everything, how they chose him because he was poor, how they expected Arisha to be disgusted, how the date was meant to be a joke. Rafi froze, shame burning through him. His hands trembled as he stood, apologizing to Arisha, blaming himself for ruining her afternoon. The boys waited for her reaction, expecting her to join the laughter. Instead, Arisha stood up slowly, her eyes sharp, her voice steady. She looked at the boys and said words that silenced the entire cafe, I like him. And I'm proud I met someone with a genuine heart, something none of you seem to have. In that moment, everything shifted. Rothery stared at her, stunned, his heart pounding so hard he could barely breathe. The boys growled in embarrassment and left angrily, but the damage they intended to inflict had failed completely. Arisha sat back down and asked Rothery if he wanted to continue the date somewhere quieter. He hesitated, unsure why someone like her would defend someone like him, but her eyes held a warmth that washed his doubts away. Over the next several weeks, their bond grew under the soft glow of daylight, visiting parks, talking for hours, sharing struggles and dreams. Rothery showed her the workshop, apologizing for its humble appearance, but she walked inside like it was a palace, admiring the small details, the tools, the way he handled engines like they were art. She saw his worth not in wealth, but in character. And for the first time in years, Rothery felt seen, not as a mechanic, but as a man deserving of love. Word of their growing closeness reached her father, Chairman Haroon Hayat, a man known for his sharp business instincts and protective nature. He disapproved instantly. He believed Rothery had ulterior motives and demanded Arisha end the relationship. But she refused, standing firm. Rothery, wanting to respect her family, stepped back, working harder than ever, determined to prove himself. One afternoon, Arisha's father arrived at the workshop unexpectedly. Rothery thought it was to take Arisha away or perhaps to warn him again. But instead, Haroon handed him a car, an engine making strange noises, and said, "Fix this. Show me who you are." Rothery worked tirelessly under the shining daylight, sweat dripping, tools clinking, until the engine purred like new. The chairman watched everything, the discipline, the skill, the humility. And when he finally spoke, his voice was softer, almost reluctant. "I misjudged you." From that day, acceptance slowly took root. If this story touched your heart or reminded you that dignity and kindness matter more than wealth, please like, share, and comment your feelings. And don't forget to subscribe to RW Insights for more inspiring stories. Special request: comment respect if Rothery's struggle and sincerity inspired you today. In the end, the poor mechanic who was once the subject of a cruel prank became the man who won not just the heart of the CEO's daughter, but the respect of an entire family. And under the bright sky of a brand new day, Rothery realized that sometimes, the world doesn't change in grand moments, it changes in the quiet courage to believe you are worthy of love.